Hello everyone, my name is Izzy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought we would go through all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of and whether or not I will be continuing. So if you see any series that I'm in the middle of that you think I should continue, please let me know down below. I'm going to be telling you my thoughts, my ratings on the books I've read, so let's go. So the most current series that I've started that I'm in the middle of is of course the Mortal Instruments series. So this series follows a girl named Clary who, through a series of coincidences, discovers the Shadowhunter world, which the Shadowhunters are a group of warriors who fight demons. And she's kind of swept up into this world and she discovers that she has a much deeper part in the world than she realizes, and so you follow her discovering all about her past and her place in the Shadowhunter world. Is how I'd sum that up briefly without spoiling anything. I just finished The City of Bones this morning actually, and I am going to be doing a whole separate video of reading the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments and then reading the Infernal Devices and then reading the next 3 books in the Mortal Instruments series if you want my full thoughts. But so far, I would say I would rate this book about a 3 stars out of 5. I didn't love it, but it was okay. The plot got quite interesting in about the last 100 pages. From the 3rd section, from part 3, which is about 100 pages to the end of the book, it did get quite interesting. Then I was sat and I was reading, I was like, okay, but having to get 400 pages into it to get to that point doesn't necessarily sell it as the best book. I don't want to just repeat my thoughts is what I'm saying, because I've been reading this book across a multitude of these videos. I'll save my thoughts for the in-depth video, but yeah, I would say it was okay. 3 out of 5 stars, but I'm definitely going to be continuing the story. Sorry, I just had to adjust the camera there to try and get out that annoying sunlight. I actually reread this book in order to carry on with the series, so this is definitely a yes for continuing the stories, but just with the hopes that it does in fact get better. The next series that I have is the Icebreaker series. I don't actually know what the series is called because they're more a bunch of standalones that follow the same group of characters. And then the different books in the series, in the subsequent standalone series, follows different teammates on Nate's hockey team. This book follows Anastasia, who is a ice skater, and basically it's a romance between her and an ice hockey player called Nate. I read this last year. This book has got a lot of hate on TikTok and everything, but I personally thought it was a good solid read. I think I've rated it like a 3.5. I'm not an avid romance reader, so I can't say that I'm overly knowledgeable of the nuances of romances and what makes a good romance and what doesn't. I was purely going off of what I enjoyed, and I thought this was a solid book. I enjoyed it. It was funny, it was entertaining, and that's kind of all it needed to be. As to whether I would continue this series, I'm not sure. I wouldn't say a no, because I know there's now 2 other books in this series. There's Wildfire, and I don't know what the 3rd book is called. I'll put it up if I remember. I wouldn't say no, but it's definitely not at the top of my priority to continue the series. I liked it, but I wasn't obsessed, and consequently I'm not rushing. Evidently I didn't rush to read the rest of the series because I read this about a year ago. Next series is My Fault. Where do I even begin? Basically, the plot of My Fault is the main character, Noah. She moves in with her step family, and you're basically just following her life now that she's rich. That's not really the way to describe it. So, the backstory behind the reason why I read this book is My Fault London, the movie, came out, and a group of my friends were obsessed with the movie, and then I watched it and I was obsessed with the movie. The movie is absolutely great, it's so good. I've watched it so many times. They're making another one because the movies came from the books. And so I was like, oh, I definitely have to read the books, because I love when a movie I love is from a book, because I'm like, oh, more ways to consume the media that I love. And so I got this book. Oh my god, I have never read a book so bad. This was a 1-star read for me. I was forcing myself to get through it because I don't really like DNFing books. It was god awful. What I would say, watch the movie, don't read the book, and I will not be continuing on with this series. This was a strong no from me. Next, the Inheritance Games series. So this follows a girl named Avery who, she's broke, she's a high school student, she doesn't have any money, and all of a sudden she gets told that she has to go with this millionaire family or billionaire family to open the will of the grandfather that just died, I believe. And because she was put in the will, nobody knows why, and then there were a bunch of games that her and the 3 brothers, there are 3 brothers I believe, needed to go through to get the money, I think, from what I remember. Again, I read this last year, and I think, again, I rated it 3 stars. It obviously isn't totally memorable because I don't remember everything that happened. Again, this was a book that I enjoyed, but I didn't love. And I wouldn't say that I wasn't going to continue the series, but it's not a high priority on my list. I wasn't totally hooked. I know a lot of people absolutely love this series, and I just can't say that that's exactly me. But it wasn't a bad book by any means. I don't really like leaving things half done. So all of these series, apart from the ones that are a strong no, I would like to continue and complete at some point, just for peace of mind, so I can say that I've read the whole series. I don't know if the next books get better. I think there's two more books in this series, and then there's another standalone that came out last year, I think. I was expecting a bit more when I read it just because of the hype it had, but it wasn't awful. Next is the Shatter Me series. This book follows a girl named Juliet in a dystopian world, and anyone that she touches dies. She's a form of a murder weapon, I suppose. She can kill anyone just by touching them. And so the government of this dystopian world, the re-establishment, have locked her away to use her to their advantage. Basically following her as she tries to escape and tries to fight back. I read this book about 4 years ago because I had heard so many people talk about it. Everyone absolutely raves about this series. There's quite a few books in this series. So there's 3 books in the Shatter Me series, and then there's 3 books in the Restore Me series, and then there's 2 novellas. 2 novella collections. So there's about 8 books in this world. I think I absolutely devoured this book in about 2 days. Like, I just sat and read it because they are short. It's like 300 pages. I didn't continue on with this series purely because, and this is such a stingy reason, but the books are all quite thin, and I just couldn't justify spending £9 on a book that I would finish in 2 days. Like, I know that is so stingy. And now I'm logically thinking that I can just get the books from the library, but obviously that wasn't a thought I had at the time. I'm not really sure. This book wasn't the best. I think I probably rated it about 3 stars. But saying that, like, it's a good plot. I don't know if it just didn't execute as well. I'd have to go back and see the rating I gave it. Or maybe I gave it like a 4 stars. But I didn't continue the series. This is a series I'm going to say, yes, I will continue reading. I would reread this book first before I continued on. And I would either get the other books out from the library, which I don't know why wasn't a thought at the time, or even just buy the complete series from somewhere like The Works or World of Books, where you get better value for money when you buy the whole series. I think the thing with me, with a lot of these series I haven't continued reading, when I love a book in a series, I will read the next one. Like, I have to. I don't really like reading a book and then reading something else. That is why, as soon as I read Assassin's Blade last year, the rest of my year's reading, apart from like 2 or 3 books, was taken up with the whole of the Throne of Glass series, because once I commit, like I read the whole series straight. I'm not like a read the first book, read a couple books, read the next book, read a couple books. Like, I'm obsessed once I get in. Same with ACOTAR, same with Harry Potter, same with Throne of Glass. Like, once I'm in, I'm in. So if I stop and I don't continue on in the series, it's normally an indicator that I'm not obsessed with the series. Mainly because my memory can be quite poor sometimes, so if you can't tell from me struggling to recap these books, I kind of need to go straight on to the next book in order to keep my memory fresh of what happened in the previous book, or else, like I said with Shatami, I will have to reread that before I read the next book, or else I just won't have a clue what's happened, where we left off. Next is the Narnia series, which I think it's easier to just show the whole box set than trying to get one book out. This box set is actually my mum's from when she was a child. I don't even know where I got up to. I think I got up to The Horse and His Boy. I was determined to read this whole series again at the start of last year or the year before, because the books are so thin, you'd think you could actually just devour them, and in fact I probably could, because about 3 of the books is like one regular sized fantasy book. And I do still want to sit down and reread them all, because I love Narnia, like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the movies. The fact that there are so many more books than there are movies is exciting, because obviously the movies are so great and they come from the books, so there's the hope that in reading these books you'll discover so many more stories that take place in the world of Narnia that, you know, I know and I love. I just remember getting a little bit stumped. I know I either DNF'd the series after book 3 or I DNF'd book 3, and so I didn't continue the series. But I do want to eventually get round to reading these, because they are just so thin. They should be so easy to read. So this is a series I want to get around to. It's just, it didn't have me hooked, you know. But that being said, I feel like they could be quite good palate cleansers, like in between a really good book, because you know that they're easy and quick to read, and you're in a world that's familiar and homely. So it's set in a good world, but it's a short read. So maybe I'll start to use these as palate cleansers, because there's 7 of them, and I know there's not a movie that touches on the very last book and how it ends. And I've seen spoilers of how it ends. Like, I know how it's supposedly meant to end. I need to understand it for myself. Like, I need to see what happens. So I need to get through this just for the final book alone. So this is a yes, I will continue with the Chronicles of Narnia. For those of you who don't know and who haven't watched The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, if you haven't, absolutely go do. Well, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe follows the Pevensie family, who discover the world of Narnia through a wardrobe during the war, when they're evacuated from London. But the series actually begins with the magician's nephew. The first book describes the creation of Narnia, basically, and the discovery of Narnia, which then sets the scene, because The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is the second book, so the movies actually miss out the whole first book, and then it just kind of continues on the stories of people in Narnia, basically. The last of the books that I have physically is Powerless. I read this about 2 years ago, so just let me remind myself what it's about. Peyton Grey isn't ordinary, so she doesn't have any powers, and in this society of Ilya, anyone who's ordinary is like shunned and killed. Like, you can't, everyone has a power, and she's a ordinary, and she poses as a psychic having this power, and then she gets basically thrown into these trials that showcase the elite's powers. So it's kind of like Hunger Games vibes. I think I rated it about, again, a 3 stars, maybe a 3.5. I remember I found it really difficult to get through this book. I didn't love it. A couple videos back when I was doing my book talk introduction, and I said how one of my like tropish icks, my tropish hates, are when a series feels like they're just trying to tick a checklist, like a book is trying to tick a checklist of tropes just to include them and say that the book has the tropes in them. This is one of those books that felt like it just had tropes shoved in there, like Kai calls Peyton darling, like people go feral over that, and kind of like a knife to throat scene, tick, you know, like it just felt very, tropes were just shoved in there to appease readers and get readers to read the book. So I didn't love it. And that being said, I think I would be interested in reading the following books. That being said, I saw Lauren Roberts when she was like blowing up on TikTok, like writing the book, so I saw it from when she would like post scenes about it. So this is like a yes, probably. The final two series I don't have in person. One is Magnolia Parks, which I'm listening to on audiobooks, and I'm loving this series. I rated Magnolia Parks of 4 stars, and I'm listening to Daisy H right now, and I'm loving it. It's great. It just basically follows a bunch of rich teenagers in London, or rich young adults in London, and you're just following their lives. The first book is between Magnolia and BJ, who have a very dysfunctional relationship, and you're basically following that. And I'm now on Daisy Hayes, which is kind of like an interconnected world. Like, she's not part of the exact same friendship group, but the characters overlap. And yeah, I love it. I'm definitely continuing this series, and I'm loving listening to it on audiobooks because it kind of feels like a podcast. So that's a big fat yes. And then the final book is Fourth Wing.
This follows riders. This follows a series of these riders in an academy who ride dragons, and you're following this main character Violet, who's becoming a rider.
I'm editing this right now, and I described Fourth Wing awfully, so I'm going to try describe it a bit better. Fourth Wing follows Violet, who attends Basgaith War College, and at the War College there are 4 quadrants: scribes, healers, infantry and riders, and Violet is forced to go into the riders quadrant. The riders quadrant, they're dragon riders, and it's a very deadly quadrant to enter because in order to survive and graduate, there are a bunch of trials and tests the riders have to go through. So you're basically following Violet trying to survive the riders quadrants.
I read this on summer holiday. I rated it a 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it like everyone raved about it and loved it, but it was good. I haven't picked the next book up straight away. I think there's 2 more books in the series, and I don't know if the series is being continued beyond that, or if it's just a trilogy. I will definitely pick the next book up. The very last line, I won't spoil it, but the very last line in the book had me gagged. I was like, oh, like that very last line hooked me. Like, I know I do want to continue reading it. I just didn't love the series like everyone else loved the series. Like, everyone was saying it was like 5-star, absolutely obsessed. It was good. It was better than most of the series I've talked about so far in the series, but I wasn't obsessed with it. So I will be continuing on with Fourth Wing, but it wasn't the very best thing I've ever read, if you get what I mean. So those are all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of, and have been in the middle of for quite a few years it seems. Let me know if you've read any of these series, if you recommend any of them, if any of them get better after the first book, and so I should definitely prioritise it in reading the rest of the series. Or let me know if you agree with me and you found that these first books in the series weren't the best and you aren't particularly inclined to continue on the series. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe, like, comment. As I say, let me know if you have read any of these series. Try and convince me in the comment if you have. And I will be seeing you in my next one. Goodbye.